Foxborough can't walk into this training camp focused only on the obvious names. While everyone debates stars and contracts, 4 pressure points are about to test this roster's true strength. A job that has to be won through impact, an explosive possibility developing on the market, the stability of the team's best unit, and the man who needs to control the trenches. I'm going straight at it because unanswered depth turns into a weakness when the season gets tough. If you want an aggressive Patriots team, hit the like button and choose a side in the comments. Does this roster already scare the AFC, or does New England still need to attack? We'll start with a battle plenty of people will overlook until the pads start popping. The third running back job. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson lead the room, but treating RB3 like some background role would be lazy. The NFL tests your depth without warning. One hit, one injury, one brutal stretch, and the player who seems secondary is suddenly taking snaps that can decide a season. That's exactly why Terrell Jennings enters the summer with an advantage that matters. At 25 years old and heading into his 3rd season, Jennings is the only backup in that room who has faced NFL talent in regular season action. He appeared in 7 games last year, was repeatedly elevated from the practice squad, and scored the first touchdown of his career against Atlanta. As injuries began piling up in the backfield, it looked like his opportunity was finally arriving. Then came the concussion, ending his season before he could turn that opening into a permanent role. That doesn't wipe away his progress. It only makes this preseason ruthless for him. Looking reliable won't be enough anymore. He has to make the coaching staff keep him on the 53. That path does not require pretending Jennings is a different type of runner. He is not living off making defenders miss in space, because he has forced only 1 missed tackle since entering the league. His game is tougher, simpler, and potentially very valuable when used correctly. He attacks downhill between the guards and can give you honest work on early downs. He won't leave people speechless with some cinematic change of direction. He is trying to gain yards with his shoulder aimed toward the end zone. There is value in that for a roster built to survive a long season. But the weapon that truly strengthens his case appears away from the football. Jennings can hold up in pass protection, made tackles on kickoff coverage against the Giants on Monday Night Football, and worked with the first-team punt unit this spring. With Marte Mapu now in Houston, the Patriots need an answer at personal protector. Players who solve several problems give themselves breathing room at the bottom of the roster. Jennings understands that reality. Jam Miller, Miles Montgomery, and Lan Larison bring youth and upside. Jennings responds with professional experience, real NFL contact, and special teams value. Running backs coach Tony Dews said it clearly. Nobody should ever feel comfortable, because another player can take your job and injuries are part of this game. That message is not only meant to put pressure on the backups, it destroys the idea that the hierarchy is locked in place. Jennings does not have to leapfrog Stevenson or Henderson to win this camp. He has to prove that when either one leaves the field, the offense does not lose its identity, protection, or physical edge. It is a less glamorous assignment, but a much more serious one. So the challenge is clear. Turn reliability into indispensability. If Jennings can own special teams, pick up blitzes, and run violently between the tackles, he won't be asking for sympathy after waiting 2 years. He will be building the kind of argument every coach respects. I help your team in 3 different ways, and I do not compromise any of them. This is the kind of competition that reveals whether the bottom of a roster has real muscle or just bodies. New England needs muscle. The volume rises from here because the market has introduced a possibility capable of setting any offense on fire. At 9:33 a.m. Eastern on Monday, Kalshi gave Tyreek Hill a 15% chance of landing in New England. Kansas City led at 45%. Staying connected to Miami or retiring stood at 17%, while Atlanta sat at 14%. The Patriots were the highest-priced destination outside the Chiefs in Miami. That absolutely gets your attention, even though there has been no report of contact or an offer. The appeal is easy to understand. Drake Maye has the arm to threaten every level of the field, and Hill's acceleration, if it returns, would force safeties to back up. A.J. Brown brings physical dominance. Romeo Doubs gives the offense a proven option in the intermediate game. Hill would add the kind of speed that changes coverage before the ball is even snapped. That conflict would be brutal for any defense. But aggression is not about collecting famous names. It means striking when the risk, cost, and reward all line up. Miami released Hill in February with a failed physical designation after he suffered a dislocated knee and multiple torn ligaments, including his ACL, in Week 4 of the 2025 season. He finished the year with 21 receptions, 265 yards, and 1 touchdown. He turned 32 in March, and his availability for 2026 is still uncertain. New England would have to determine how much of that burst remains and how many opportunities another veteran would take away from a receiver room the team just rebuilt. Kansas City leading the market feels completely natural. Hill spent 6 seasons with the Chiefs, recorded 479 receptions for 6,630 yards and 56 touchdowns, developed chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, and won Super Bowl 54 under Andy Reid. That history gives a reunion immediate logic, but I refuse to accept the idea that the Patriots should hang up the phone just because the fit is not an obvious need. A franchise determined to climb back to the top of the AFC investigates rare opportunities. That does not mean bowing to the name, ignoring the knee, or blocking the development of the current roster. It means setting firm conditions. If the recovery checks out, the contract protects New England, and the role is clearly defined, you listen. If even one of those pieces fails, you walk away without regret. That 15% reflects the possible ceiling more than any real movement behind the scenes. Even so, it is impossible not to picture Maye launching deep while Brown breaks inside and Hill stretches the defense. The image is dangerous. The decision still has to be disciplined. The aggressive Patriots team I want does not confuse courage with desperation. It measures what Hill has left, then decides whether to pull the trigger. After that offensive temptation comes the part of the roster that is already delivered under serious pressure, the cornerbacks. And I will push back against anyone treating this room like a supporting cast. Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis III, and Marcus Jones formed New England's best position group in 2025 and played a major role in the run to the Super Bowl. Gonzalez made the Pro Bowl and was clearly the Patriots' best player in that game. Jones earned AFC Defensive Player of the Month honors in October and was named a second-team All-Pro as a returner. Davis brought stability on the other side and grabbed 2 interceptions in the divisional round. That is production, not reputation. Even an elite unit can still have weak points. Gonzalez skipped OTAs earlier in the spring after becoming eligible for an extension. He returned for mandatory minicamp from June 9th through June 11th, but stayed out of team periods. He said he wants to remain in New England and be rewarded as a Patriot, leaving the negotiations to his agents and the team. If this situation stretches into training camp, the concern moves away from his understanding of the system and toward his physical preparation. New England cannot get dragged into a tug-of-war with the most talented player on its defense. Contracts of this size take time. Devin Witherspoon, a member of the same draft class, also remained unsigned. But the clock does not stop because negotiations are complicated. Gonzalez has already shown that he thrives in this scheme. What nobody should accept is a delay that costs him conditioning, rhythm, and aggression when the defense needs to open 2026 by imposing its will. Rewarding a player at this level also sends a message throughout the locker room. Excellence developed in Foxborough has a future in Foxborough. There is another risk on the opposite side, and it does not make nearly as much noise. Carlton Davis played every regular season game in 2025 for the first time in his career. Before that, he had missed 27 games across 8 seasons and had not appeared in 14 regular season contests since 2020. Last year may have represented a breakthrough in his availability. It may also have been an outlier. If Davis stays healthy, the Patriots can regularly field one of the most complete cornerback trios in the NFL. If he goes down, the competition behind the starters stops being a footnote and becomes an immediate test. Kindle Vildor, Charles Woods, Karen Prunty, Kobe Minor, Marcellus Dial Jr., and the other backups are not simply fighting for the final roster spots. They are fighting to keep this defense from collapsing when the schedule demands depth. Woods served as the 4th corner for much of 2025. Vildor led the group during portions of the spring. Minor and 5th-round rookie Karen Prunty took first-team reps while the starters were absent and Woods was injured. Dial, meanwhile, appears close to finishing his recovery from a torn ACL. Every training camp rep will matter because coverage gives players nowhere to hide. My read is harsh. The top of this room deserves to be treated like a championship-level strength, but the front office has to protect it from both directions. Get the Gonzalez situation settled without turning the summer into a war of attrition. Prepare the backups as if Davis will miss time, because his history demands that level of caution. Vrabel got excellent play from all 3 starters in year 1. The challenge now is maintaining that standard when opponents already understand the identity of this defense. The strongest group on the roster cannot enter 2026 relying on luck. It needs protection through a contract, conditioning, and real answers behind the starters. And if the cornerbacks give this defense the freedom to challenge receivers, somebody has to destroy the quarterback's comfort from the inside. That is where Milton Williams demands respect. His 4-year, $104 million contract raised eyebrows in March 2025 because he had been a rotational player in Philadelphia. 1 year later, executives, coaches, and scouts surveyed by ESPN ranked him as the 9th best defensive tackle in the NFL. That was not a gift based on reputation. It was recognition for an investment that had already started proving itself on the field. Williams started all 12 games he played in 2025, recording 29 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, and 8 tackles for loss. A high ankle sprain limited his season, and his absence was felt in a brutal way. Even with that, he finished 3rd among interior linemen with a 9.6% pressure rate and led all qualified Patriots defensive linemen in both pass rush win rate and run stop win rate. An NFL personnel evaluator surveyed by ESPN captured the entire package: explosiveness, strength, effort, and the versatility to produce from multiple alignments across the front. That is what a relentless Patriots defender should celebrate and demand more from. Williams did not receive that contract just to appear on a top 10 list. He was paid to anchor a front that now has to survive a problem on the edges. The edge rusher situation remains unsettled, placing even more pressure on the interior. Interior pressure disrupts a quarterback's timing, keeps him from stepping into a clean pocket, and creates opportunities for the rest of the defense. But neither Williams nor Christian Barmore can single-handedly replace high-level starters and depth on the edge. Pretending otherwise would waste the talent New England already has inside. Khyiris Tonga's departure also left this group thinner. He arrived without the same noise, provided real value, and then left in free agency. The health of Williams and Barmore is now a red line. When both are available, the Patriots have one of the NFL's best defensive tackle tandems. When either one is missing, the drop-off shows up quickly, and the rotation loses power. For a defense built around physicality, that is not some administrative detail. It is the difference between dictating the play and reacting to it. So I want the Foxborough community standing up for Milton Williams, but do not let the front office off the hook. Recognize the impact of this duo in the comments and tell me which edge addition would give them the help they need. Williams validated the money in 2025. Now comes the stage that separates a good signing from an era-defining pillar: staying healthy, commanding the line, and lifting everyone around him. ESPN's ranking confirms that the league noticed. In 2026, Williams can turn recognition into dominance, as long as New England does not leave him fighting with inadequate depth around him. These 4 stories carry one clear demand. The Patriots already have enough talent to scare people, but they cannot allow one weak detail to sabotage a strong foundation. Terrell Jennings must turn versatility into a roster spot. Tyreek Hill only deserves pursuit if his body, price, and role pass the test. Gonzalez needs a solution that protects the present, while Milton Williams needs health and help on the edges. That is how you build a contender. Attack opportunities without abandoning discipline. If you want to follow every battle in Foxborough without watered-down talk, subscribe to Patriots Club fans. The AFC does not give away space. New England will have to take it.